do you really not like her because of who she is? Or does she just have a quality that you wish you had, but you too scary to embody that quality? See why a lot of people want to remain the same. This healing shit ain't fun. Hey y'all, it's Kiki. Welcome back to my channel. That was so fake. Hey y'all, it's Kiki. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute since I have recorded a video, but I go into more detail about why in my previous video. It should be the video before this one, how I return back to myself. But as you can see, the title of this video is So Into Self, which is a series I wanted to start because over the years, I've just been noticing after doing a lot of people watching, not only observing myself, but also observing everybody around me and people on social media and just hearing people's stories. I noticed that a lot of us lose sight of who we are, what we want, and, a lot of our dreams because we spend most of our lives sacrificing and showing up for other people that we end up putting ourselves on the back burner. And before we know it, everything that we wanted to do is too late to do it. We feel like we're too old. We ain't got the skills we used to. We ain't got the stamina we had to, the body we used to, and etc. So I named it So Into Self for two reasons. It can go so into self, or it can go SOW. So into self. It's whichever one you really want to use, but I'm gonna leave it as SO. But I basically wanted to start this series to talk about the importance of really pouring into yourself, really getting to know yourself, really learning to evolve, learning to accept change and move with life, not trying to fight against life, and also owning your own individuality and being bold in your self-expression. So everything that has to do with self is right here, right now. Real quick, I want to give a disclaimer because I know if you hear somebody say so into self, it sounds like, oh, you're teaching people to be selfish. I want to make it very clear. I'm not trying to teach people or talk about the importance of being super selfish and very inconsiderate of other people and not showing up for other people and etc. I'm just highlighting the importance of getting to know yourself first, because you really can't show up for anybody the way that they need you to if you don't even know how to show up for yourself the way that you need it. And that's just a fact. So that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to start this series. So, this is my first episode. I'm nervous, y'all. Can y'all tell? If you've been on social media or just in life in general, when you go to work or people in your family and things like that, especially more specifically women, I think women have been taught to really put themselves on the back burner. This series isn't just for women, but I mean, I'm a woman, so I feel like I can only speak to that experience. I don't know. But if you're a man and you want to be here, kudos to you. But anyways, like I was saying, I find that a lot of throughout history, women have just been taught to pretty much just play the back burner. You pretty much want to be seen and not heard. Speak when spoken to. Yeah, you can have your dreams, but you're supposed to, put your dreams on hold to support everybody else's dreams. You're supposed to swallow your feelings, swallow your expression, swallow your pride, all the things so that everybody else can win and everybody else can just excel at whatever it is they choose to do. And you're supposed to just sit and smile and nod. And I don't like that. I feel like as people, and more specifically as women, we get the right to do what we want to do. We get the right to go after what we want to go after, and we get the right to express the way we want to express. And that's just point blank, period. But also too, I think with society just trying to convince women that they really can't do much, and also with us living in this system, and y'all know what system I'm referring to, which is patriarchy, of course. I find that a lot of women have a hard time believing in themselves. They think that they need other people and men, more specifically, to really make things happen in their life. But I'm a person who has been surrounded by women who are doing it all alone, and they doing the damn thing. Like, for instance, I have a therapist who she's not in a relationship with her child's father. And she has a small child. Like, I don't even think her child is 5, but she just recently graduated college. She got her doctorate degree. She has a doctorate. Okay. She put herself through college okay, with a whole baby and got a doctorate. Okay, it's just, you see so many different women who basically, when they want what they want, they go out and get it. And I also see other women thinking that they need a million and one people, they need a man, they just need money, they need all of these things outside of themselves to make things happen, when in reality, I think all of the power lies within you already. I think all that other stuff is just decoration, is just extra, and it's just, things to maybe push you a little bit, I guess you can say, but all the power already lies within you. I don't think you need anything outside of yourself to really get to where you want to be. That's my belief, and I'm sticking to it. I wanted to start this series because I just wanted to highlight the importance of course, loving yourself is very important, but I wanted to highlight the importance of respecting yourself and showing up for yourself, and also building trust in yourself. I don't know if this is like a experience thing or a trauma thing. I don't know. I'm in therapy, as I said. But I just don't believe in putting all of your eggs in one basket. And I also don't believe in putting all of your trust into something that is outside of you. Because, and when I say something, I mean in more so people and things that can be here today and gone tomorrow. I just feel like the most permanent thing in your life, the only permanent thing in your life is you. So it's only right that you do all that you can to really nurture yourself, to really love on yourself, and really learn yourself from the inside and out, so that you can reach the highest potential that you could ever reach in this life. I mentioned this in my last video before this one, but I think the worst thing that I would want to experience is like being on my deathbed and having a list of things that I wish I would have did, because I'm literally about to tap out in about 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to ever live a life of regret, and I don't want to die wishing that I did something. I don't want to die with 100 desires when I had the opportunity and plenty of time and space to do it. Yeah, that's the purpose of this series. I want it to be a very like open and honest conversation, because while, don't get me wrong, while I believe, yeah, it is important to show up for yourself, it is important to love yourself. I think when people talk about like self-love, they only talk about the good things. They only talk about loving yourself for the positive traits that you have, right? So it's like, oh yeah, let's talk about self-love. You have so many talents, and you're intelligent, and you're pretty, you have a lot of money, X, Y, and Z. But I think when you truly love yourself, you love the good and the bad. A lot of people don't tap into the bad parts, or the shadow side, or whatever you want to call it. But I think learning to give grace to your past self, that version of yourself that maybe wasn't as bold as you are right now, or as confident, or maybe as outspoken. Maybe you feel like a lot of people played in your face. Maybe you feel like you got, treated really, really badly. And at the time, you didn't really know how to defend yourself. But now you're at a place and a point in life where you are absolutely, hold on, I'm sorry, you are absolutely able to speak up for yourself. I find that a lot of people only want to acknowledge that version of themselves, but they don't want to acknowledge like the past version that actually got them to where they are right now. I feel like every single phase we go through in life sets us up for where we are in the moment. So even if you made some decisions that you are not proud of, even if you dated some people that you wish you never dated, those things happened, and they had to happen for a reason, because they got you here to this moment right now. So I think when it comes to self-love in general, it's important to love every single part of yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Not just the good, not just the pretty, not just the wealthy, but the ugly as well. Which isn't easy, but I really don't like the easy route. I like the challenge, because I'm no bitch. So, yeah. And so with all of that being said, I think I want to name, or I want to title this episode Face Yourself. I know for me, at one point in my life, I was very, very timid. I was a huge scaredy cat. I was scared of everything and everybody. And it's crazy because things happen in life, and your environment and the people that you spend a lot of time around, they kind of shape your personality, and maybe they shape who you are. But eventually, when that version of you doesn't really serve you anymore. You have to drop it and you have to move on. And I realized that being timid and being scared wasn't gonna get me where I need to be. But when I finally got to a place to where I felt very comfortable and I felt comfortable, Jesus, where I felt very comfortable and I felt confident and I trusted myself enough, that feeling of being timid kind of started to fade away slowly but surely. It was like, when you think about it, nobody's really gonna come and save me. I have to save myself. So nobody's gonna speak up for me the way I can speak up for myself. Nobody's gonna defend me the way I can defend myself. And I found myself really starting to love this new version of myself, but in loving her, I started to hate that old version, right? And that was doing me no good, because when you start to more so hate that past version of yourself, I think you pretty much hate yourself, if you ask me. I don't know. I just feel like that there's no type of real authentic love within looking back and not giving yourself grace for that version. I think the great thing about life in general is that everything evolves, including us. So it's like find it or I don't find it necessary to beat up, those younger versions of yourself, because I mean, you only knew what you knew. So when you look at it from that standpoint or from that point of view, you think, okay, yeah, maybe this version of me would have did something totally different, but I didn't know then what I know now. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have the experiences at that moment that I have right now. So it's easier to say, yeah, I won't do that again, but I'm not going to shame, 16-year-old, 10-year-old, or 20-year-old me because she just didn't know any better. I find that people, they start to, get the success, or they start to get the life that they want, and they start acting brand new. Like, they start acting like, they've never experienced a hardship, or they've never experienced a making a bad decision, or having a hard time choosing, the next step, or, having a hard time closing the last chapter and opening up the new one. And it's like, who do you think you fooling? Bitch, we know what's going on. We know everybody has a past, but I think sometimes people think that because they have a not so pretty past, that it's gonna make their future be just as ugly, or if not uglier. And I think that's not true whatsoever. I think a lot of the people who turn out to be greats, and who turn out to be really, really great, turn out to do really, really great things, they all come from not so good backgrounds, or they may have very traumatic stories, but I don't really think it's about where you come from. I think it's about what you do with the lessons and then where you headed to. Everybody has a story. So I think that version of myself that was very, very timid and very, very scared, she pretty much did what she needed to do to survive in the environment that she was in. But now I'm no longer in an environment where I have to bite my tongue and suppress myself. I'm now free to speak the way that I want to. I'm free to express the way that I want to. And so it's easier for me to do that. A lot of us have a hard time facing ourselves because we think that the things that we've been through define exactly who we are today. And it's going to pretty much, do I want to say skew? I don't know. Y'all know, let me tell y'all something. One thing about me, I'll use a word and use it incorrectly as hell and then be like, wait, I don't think I meant that. Yeah, no, skew. That's what I meant. But basically, I think a lot of people have a hard time facing their past selves because the situations that they've been through, they think that those situations are going to define them for the rest of their lives. So they don't want to, you know, address the embarrassing moment that they had, or the shameful thing that they did, or that guilt that they feel from, years and years ago. But I have to say that those things don't go away. They follow you. You just maybe do a really, really good job at distracting yourself from it. Maybe you surround yourself with a lot of different people, or you go a lot of different places, or you keep yourself busy by filling your schedule with a bunch of shit. But at the end of the day, when everything is said and done and them doors close, all of those feelings rush right back up to the surface. I think that it's important to go ahead and address those things. It's important to go ahead and feel those feelings, put words to those feelings so that you won't keep feeling them over and over again, so that it will no longer be something that's triggering to you. It will more so just be a memory of, okay, yeah, I remember that happening, but it doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really, affect how I look at myself and how I look at the world. It's just a memory because I was able to address those things and then move on. Which will lead me into the thing that a lot of people talk about, and I think a lot of people shy away from it as well, but I don't. It is shadow work. So I talked about shadow work in my last video, but I didn't really go into detail about it. But from my perspective, or in my opinion, I think shadow work, I call it self therapy, but it's basically just you basically facing your shadow self. It's you addressing your traumas, your triggers, your inner issues, just doing that internal work because, excuse me, it's basically you just doing that internal work so that your shadow is no longer haunting you, but you learn how to work with it. I spent the entire year, the years of 2020 up until about 2021, doing shadow work. And hold on, let me go get the journal because I feel like y'all should see the journal. Let me show y'all. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. But basically, I bought this journal in 2020 and I used it as a shadow work journal. So I'm gonna flip through these. Hopefully y'all don't be in here screenshot now. But when I tell you I wrote all the way to the back of this book, the back of this journal, I was not playing, except the last page. Somebody else joined that, child. But I basically came across shadow work in 2020, and it was from a YouTuber. They were doing like a shadow work challenge where they would just choose maybe like 10 to 15 prompts and they would answer them as honestly and as truthfully as they could. But I find that with shadow work helps you to be your most vulnerable because I think vulnerability helps us to get over that shit that we swept up under the rug. It helps us to pull that from up under the rug so that we don't keep tripping on the same shit that we've been tripping on for years. But basically, I know that for me, I got a lot of these different prompts and things from like Pinterest and YouTube, and whatever I felt like needed to be addressed, I would just address it. So for example, there was a prompt and it says, what is your biggest struggle with loving yourself? There's another prompt and it says, what kind of person would you be if you weren't afraid of what others thought? But it's different types of prompts. You have prompts about childhood. You have shadow work about money, prompts about money and relationships and things like that. It helps you to uncover those uncomfortable emotions and feelings so that you don't take those things into the next phase of your life. Right? Because a lot of us, believe it or not, even if you don't want to, that's fine. Because I know nowadays being in a relationship is like, a touchy topic. But I'm just going to speak for me. I knew at the age of 21, I knew I wanted to be a wife. I knew that it was a possibility that I wanted to have children. I knew I wanted to be a friend. I know that I wanted to be in a career. I know I wanted to do all of these things. And I knew that in order for me to be able to have these successful things, I needed to fix all of basically the mess that I had going on so that I don't take my mess into the next thing. Because sometimes we can ruin a good thing if we do not grow. We can ruin a good, partnership or a good business venture or a good job because we're so caught up in wanting to stay the same and not wanting to change or grow that we end up fumbling something that could have been the best thing that's ever happened to us. And I didn't want to do that. I was like, I don't want to mess up anything in the future. Don't get me wrong, nothing is perfect. And experiences are experiences. And people are people. People gonna mess up. People gonna fuck up. But I don't really think it's about how you mess up. I think it's about what you do to fix those mess ups and, right your wrong so that you can move on for the better. But when I talk about facing yourself, I'm speaking more so about facing your shadow self and facing that part of you that is hidden from the world, and it's probably hidden from you, which it's probably really not hidden from you. I think you know exactly what you need to address, but a lot of us just fear addressing it because, you know, we fear addressing these uncomfortable things because we they trigger some type of belief that we have within ourselves, right? So to give you an example, like I said, I was very timid and I was very scary, but I didn't like for people to call me that. I didn't like for people to call me timid. I didn't like to be called scary, even if it was a joke. That word was very triggering to me, right? But I was in therapy and my therapist was like, but don't you think like it makes sense for you to be scared? Don't you think like given your past, given your situation, don't you think that's a normal thing for you to be scared? Um, I don't I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just the thing that you feel in the moment. But me, I didn't want to address the fears that I had because I felt like, oh, if I'm fearful, then that means that I'm weak and I don't have the ability to become who I want to become. And I don't have what it takes to, achieve what I want to achieve. But that's just not true. And I think that when you don't address things like that and actually be honest with yourself, you you adopt those incorrect beliefs or those unhealthy types of mindsets, and it doesn't really get you to exactly where you want to be, right? Imagine if I didn't address the fears that I had as far as being seen or standing up for myself or, just fear of conflict or whatever the fear may have been. Imagine if I didn't address that, right? That will then come out as some sort of projection because it hasn't been addressed. Then I probably would have gone out into the world avoiding the things that would have triggered those fears. That's one. So with this fear of being seen, I would have never started back doing YouTube. I would have never gotten the guts to like stand up in front of my job, stand up in front of people, and do the speech or do the thing. And then I would have just been going throughout life doing the things that I really don't want to do, when in reality, this is what I want to do, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like if I hadn't addressed those uncomfortable things, not only would it have kept me stagnant, but it would have started showing up in me projecting my own negative beliefs or my own insecurities onto other people, which leads me to the next perfect point. Because I remember when I first started my job, I was meeting the people in the job because I was new. So, and this was back in this was like at the end of 2023. I started a whole new venture. Anyways, I started a new job, and of course, you get introduced to the people at the job. And at that time, I was still struggling with self-expression. I was still struggling with my fear of being seen, my fear of being heard. And I remember there was this person working there, and they were very outspoken, very expressive, very just, assertive, very bold. And as crazy as it sounds, I have to be honest, as time went on and we would have our group meetings, I was like, I don't like them. Now, mind you, I never had like a personal interaction with that person. Yeah, we worked on the same team, but we never really had conversations. I think the most we said to each other was thank you. And as if we were like holding the door open for each other. But it was never nothing personal. So I had no reason not to like this person. But because I had this fear of being seen and this fear of expressing myself, authentically and honestly, because I was uncomfortable with that. I thought everybody else should be uncomfortable as well. And I meet this person who is not uncomfortable. I think social anxiety fears her. She was just so herself, and she was just so unapologetic about it. It triggered me, right? So I'm like, I had made up in my mind, like, oh, I don't like her. I don't want to talk to her. She's doing too much. But then I remember going home and being like, wait, do you really not like her because of who she is? Or does she just have a quality that you wish you had, but you too scary to embody that quality? Let the church say amen. Like, and then when I started to unpack that, it was like, okay, I don't ever want to do that again, because like I said, I had never had a personal interaction with this person. So how can I say I don't like them? And it wasn't that they had said anything disrespectful or just, inappropriate. They were just being themselves. And because I felt afraid to be myself, coming across somebody else who was being themselves with no fear triggered the fuck out of me. And I started projecting, and I started trying to, it was almost like, and this is crazy, but it happens in real life. You know how people start like creating fake beefs? It's like, I don't even know you exist, but you don't even like me. You got an issue with me and I don't even see you. That's what happens when you don't address that shadow self. You start having issues with people who don't even know you even exist, or they're not even paying you no attention. They might know you exist, but it's here today and gone tomorrow. Baby, you just a person I work with. I don't think about you when I go home. I don't think about you on lunch. You're not anything important to me. But when you don't address those uncomfortable feelings, those fears, that jealousy, that embarrassment, that shame, that guilt, all those things, you encounter people who trigger those things in you. And if you don't let those things rise to the surface, feel them, and then let them go, you're going to keep running into people who trigger those things in you. And before you know it, you might find yourself in a situation you really, really don't want to be in. You might find yourself, getting fired. I didn't get fired, but I'm just saying, like, you might find yourself getting fired because now you done took your anger out on somebody who didn't deserve it, who don't even know why you mad for real. Now you losing opportunities. Now you probably losing money. Now you done lost your relationship. Now your kids don't want to talk to you. You know what I mean? Like, it trickles down. So I think it's important for us to face ourselves, because at the very end of the day, we are not the only people on this planet. We are going to encounter people throughout life. We're going to encounter people throughout this whole journey called life, up until the day that we die. And we all shape each other's experiences. And I think that I also believe that we're all tied to each one another's purpose. I think that you're supposed to be doing something, because if you do it, then somebody else is supposed to see you do it, and they get inspired by you, and then they come out and do something else. And it just, I think we're all connected. I really believe that. So I think it's important to face ourselves so that we can show up as the best version of ourselves, and we can do our due diligence as people and do the thing, whatever it is that God put us here to do. We can do that thing so that when it's time for us to take the long sleep, there is no regrets, there is no guilt, there is no shame, there is no embarrassment. It's just simply, I did what I did, I loved what I did, and I'm ready to head to up yonder, wherever you think you're going when you die, wherever that is. So by facing yourself, I know for me, I think you face yourself by learning exactly who you are, and you learn who you are by looking to your environment, because that is the thing that made you who you are. I talk about this in my last video, where I say that I moved back in with my family in 2020, and I wasn't excited about it, but I thought, since I'm here, I might as well make it worth my while. And I spent 2020 up until the top of 2023 studying everybody in my family, because I wanted to see what traits and what exactly was shaping me to feel the way that I was feeling about myself, and what exactly was shaping my beliefs that I had in myself, the way that I viewed the world, the way that I viewed women, the way that I viewed men. I wanted to see exactly what was causing that. So I looked to my environment, I looked to where I came from to get a better understanding of myself. So in doing that, I learned a whole lot. I learned that I am I'm at the time, I can't even say at the time. I learned that I am like all of the adults in my family who pretty much raised me, which were both of my parents and my grandmother. I'm all three of them in one person. And I know, like, because I hear my family in the past say things like, I was like my mom and my grandmother, but I'm like my dad as well. And, you hear that, and especially as somebody who doesn't have a relationship with their parents, you say that and you think, well, damn, like I don't want to be like them because da 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 da. But you have to acknowledge those similar traits that you have with them, not because you want to be like them, but because you want to learn, not to repeat those same things. I also learned that a lot of my need for validation stemmed from my relationship with my mom. I learned that my constant need for just this affection and this approval, especially, I don't even know if I want to say from women or men in general, but I think that stemmed from me not really getting that as a kid or as a teenager or as a fucking adult. You know what I'm saying? So all of these things that I learned while paying attention and learning from my environment, all these things I learned, I journaled about it. I like I said, I put words to it. I allowed myself to cry. It was so many nights between the years of 2020 and 23. I think I cried the most. I think I cried the most in my entire life. It would be so many nights where I'd be sitting up in my room journaling, crying, journaling, crying, because I'm like, these feelings are coming up, and whatever it is that my body needs to do to release these things, I'm gonna do it. And one thing about me, I'm a crier. I'm not gonna punch a hole in the wall. I'm gonna cry about it, and I think I'd much rather cry than to punch a hole in the wall. I don't think it's ever that deep. But listen, if you angry and you gotta break something, I'm not judging you. I'm not. Because they do have rage rooms for a reason. But me personally, I'm a crier. I be crying. So that's what I did. But yeah, after doing all of that, I learned that I just learned the importance of learning where you come from and really observing the environment that you came up in so that you can really figure out exactly who you are so that you can do the work to become who you need to be. Who you are going to be in 20 years from now, hopefully, is not the same person that you are today, right? But just because you have the same traits as that one family member that you don't get along with, or, you may have had limiting beliefs, or you may have had just doubtful, I guess just a way of doubting yourself and just not really believing in yourself and not feeling confident. Just because you feel that way right now doesn't mean that you don't have time to do the work so that you can rewire that and then become who you need to be 20 years from now. It's very, very important that we face those uncomfortable parts of ourselves. And I have to let you know, I don't know if I said this, but it's not easy. I think I did say it's not easy, but it's really not easy. I see why a lot of people want to remain the same. This healing shit ain't fun. It ain't fun and it's not easy. You lose a lot of people on the way. And you become aware of a lot of things. And you really, really learn why they say ignorance is bliss, because the more you know, the more you wish you didn't know. But some of us are here to, stay the same and show people what it's like to not grow and show people what life will be like if we don't get our shit together. And some of us don't have a choice but to get our shit together. And I don't know if you are the black sheep in your family, if you are the generational curse breaker, or whatever the case is, but some of us don't really have a choice but to do the work, because your spirit, your body is not going to let you just sit around and just be the same. You have to get up and do the work. With that, I also wanted to say that I'll talk about how I was facing my fears and basically, doing my videos, speaking in public, things like that. But I also learned that when you face yourself, you also need to face everything that is outside of your comfort zone. Right? Everything seems scary until you do it. And it's like, okay, I don't even know why I was scared. But you have to do the scary things. You have to do the things that make you shake and make your teeth clatter, or I guess chatter, not clatter, child. And you have to do the things that are really, really scary, because that's the only way you're going to see any type of growth. Staying the same and staying comfortable and doing the same thing because it feels familiar. Just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's right. And it doesn't mean it's right for you. And it doesn't mean it's a healthy thing for you to be doing. I wanted to wrap up by saying that when you do choose to face yourself, you have to give yourself grace. You have to be compassionate. You have to love on yourself way more. And a lot of us have to we have to repair ourselves. You have to talk to yourself nicer. You can't call yourself a dumbass because you made the wrong turn or you missed your exit. You know what I mean? You just got to turn around and start over with your route. You have to be nicer to yourself. You have to pour into yourself, because when you choose to do the work, that's when you are at your most vulnerable. And the last thing you need to be doing is surrounding yourself with people who are going to just make you feel even more shittier than you already are, because you facing your old version of yourself or your shadow self. And the last thing you need to do is be beating yourself up for things. So when it comes to doing things like shadow work, don't do it every single day. Do a prompt, maybe one prompt a week if you can handle it, or maybe one prompt every 3 or 4 days, and find that thing that really makes you happy. Watch that old cartoon, get up and dance to that old song from back in the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Cut on the karaoke and sing your heart away. Cook that one meal that you like. Go out and on a little shopping spree. Do what you can to kind of balance that out, because I think that to just go head first into trying to heal and trying to fix something, sometimes shadow work can be very overwhelming and it can really drain you. And you need to be able to balance the two so that you don't feel tired and just worn out. You don't ever want to get to a point to where you get burnt out and you don't have the energy to do anything. So, treat yourself well, eat well, and love on yourself as much as you can. But yeah, that is the end of the first episode of the Soul into Self series. If y'all see me looking, y'all can probably see my computer and my glasses, but I got some notes, child. Because one thing about me, if I don't have no notes, I'll be sitting here for 2 hours talking. And who got 2 hours? I don't. So, no, but I just wanted to say, that it's important that you show up for yourself. It's important that you be honest with yourself. It's important that you do all of the things that you need to, so that you can be all that you can be before you die. I don't know. I just hate to see people die with regrets and what ifs. I don't like that. I don't want to do it, and I don't want to see people doing it. I think you need to be willing to meet yourself wherever you are. Even if it's somewhere you're not really proud of, you there for a reason. And anything can change in 365 days. Anything can change in 6 months. So just because you where you are now and you have the mindset you have now doesn't mean it won't change anytime soon. I think dedication, I think consistency, and I think really, really taking care of yourself can get you into a whole nother space before you know it. Growth comes with time. And it's okay to take breaks, but it's not going to happen overnight. But the time is going to pass anyways. And I would hate to see you be in the same exact way 5 years from now. Get your shit together today. And I'm not playing. I'm not. That's the end of this video for the song. That's the end of this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to comment down below. Because I love a good conversation. I be trying to get back to the comments, y'all, but I be going back and forth because I have 2 YouTube channels. So I jump back and forth between the two, and sometimes I forget to log back into this channel and check my comments because I got my notifications off, child. So but don't forget to comment, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Bye.